Then what happens is, at the beginning of each semester, I get all the students and I allocate them to teams. And I'll talk about that, okay? So then what happens is, the students get together in their teams and they retake the test, the same test. Okay? And the way they do that is each team gets a scratch card. There are many different kinds of scratch cards, different formats. This is there's A, B, C, D, E. This has got 25 questions on, right? And each team gets a scratch card. Okay? And they discuss question 1, and they then have to agree what they think the answer to question 1 is. And someone will say, well, I'm pretty sure it's C. Right? And then they say, okay, let's try C. So they then scratch off C. And if they see a star, they've got it right. But if there's nothing under the scratch there, actually, they haven't got it right. And then they go, ha! What do we do now? Okay. Well, if it's not C, maybe it's E or A, or they don't really know. So they have another discussion, then they scratch off again. Right? And, you know, eventually, so when I get this back, like for question 1, you know, some students have got 1 scratch, got it right first time. Some students have got 2 scratches. The first one's blank and one's got a star on, which means they got it right second time, right? And the way I score this is if students get it right first, if I got 1 scratch with a star, they get 1 mark. If I say 2 scratches, obviously 1 was the failure and then they got it right, I get a half mark, then they get nothing. Some people do it differently, but I do that because with a scratch card, you're going to get 20% right by guessing, right? And I don't think people that get it right 4th time should get anything, right? So I give, you know, and when you add it up out of 25, you might find that some students get 18, some teams get 18. So this is used in the team retake. This is a scratch card. It's a patented scratch card, many different kinds. And by the way, if you're teaching, you can use the same scratch card every week, because down at the bottom here, this is form F014. I know that scratch card F014. So in this scratch card format, which is 5 choices, A, B, C, D, E, by 25 questions, okay? And I can only ask 20 questions, right? That's fine. I could even ask, I give A, B, I could say just use, well, even this format here, I could use the same card again, because here, this is form F014. In other words, there's about 25 different kinds of this scratch card. So when I hand the scratch card out to the teams, I tear that off. They don't know which one they've got. And next week, maybe I'm using F008 or F0025. So the answers are all different. And I design the questions, obviously, to match up. So the scratch cards they get are different each week. So if they just copy the week before, they get it wrong, okay? And this is a great technology. I've had students working at 3M in materials, and they can I see where's the answer? They go, this right, can I see? And you can't. I've had people with lasers, everything. You can't see it, right? It really works, right? And that's the essence. So what's happening is you've got this individual study that's really becoming combination individual team study. Then there's an individual test where people come in and they give multiple choice questions and they answer it on something like this. Okay. Then they retake the same test and they scratch it out by scratching out on here. Okay. And one of the things that happens there is that at that point is that in almost every situation the team score is higher than the individual score. Only once in 4 years have I known a student get more than the team score. So in other words, a team score may be 18 out of 25, the individual scores may be 16 out of 25, 14 out of 25, 12 out of 25. Only once have I had a situation where a student actually got individually higher than the team retake. And I remember saying to him, well, you have to shout harder. argue harder because you got more right. So in other words, the team performance is always teamwork is better than individual work. That was the first insight I had at MIT, an exercise I had with Professor Emeritus Lottie Balin in a group with a bunch of students. That's the first thing I learned. Solving a problem gives you more effective outcomes. That's a big learning outcome, right? That's a big learning outcome, right? That is not assessed in an exam, but that's great achievement. They all realize that, right? And these are teams because when I set them up in teams, they stay in the same team all semester and they get to know each other really, really well. This is not just a group that meets differently a week. They stay in these teams all the way through the semester. But then at the end of this little block here, I allow students to appeal. If they get a wrong answer, it could be that there's ambiguity in the question or ambiguity in the reading material. If I got an application exercise, kind of multiple choice question in the, it may be someone says, well, yes, but if I'm using the resource-based approach to strategy rather than positioning-based strategy, I might actually do D rather than B, right? So D is what I would do, and that's not wrong, right? That's also possible, right? And I look at that, and I would say, well, yeah, that's okay, that's right. And if the argument's good, I'll give them a point. I'll add a mark to them for the wrong answer, because it's actually right, because there's a little bit of ambiguity there, right? So they can challenge, they can appeal questions in class, or I do it online, right? And then I will give them a mark, and everybody in their team gets a mark if they get it right. Of course, individual tests, they may have got it right already, but in the team, everyone gets a mark for that wrong answer if their argument is sound. It's based on the quality of the argument. So then, once we've got through this period here, right, we've done the scratch cards, we've done the appeal, then we move on to using the class time for application exercises. And this could be, for example, getting students to prepare for class by looking at videos, cases, readings before they come to class, and using the class time to analyze and to evaluate in teams the materials they prepared, and then to reach a conclusion on, for example, what should the nurse do in this situation, or what should the manager do in this situation, and then to come up to a firm conclusion. In team-based learning, the way that works is at the end of the class, the instructor in the case will give a choice. They will say, should the nurse do A, B, C, D, or E? And at a certain designated point at the end, towards the end of the class, 2/3 of the way through the class, you count down, and then you go, okay, bang, like that, and everybody holds up a card. Each team holds up a card. 26 teams, they go E, E, A, C, E, A, D. Everyone's got a different answer. And then you say, well, why did you choose E? And why did you choose A? And you begin to have a discussion. Right? Now, my problem with that is twofold. First of all, that is a little bit like the case method again, right? Because I'm saying, why did you choose E, right? You've got a team here, say 5 people, right? And maybe you're talking, right? Maybe you're talking, right? But the other 4 team members will say, but I want to say something, right? And no one else is talking. And there's other teams that have chosen the same thing for different reasons. And so again, the class time is being monopolized by one person. It's not me, but it's the student who's talking, right? So my first problem with this approach of team-based learning is that we're back to one person talking again, which I wanted to get away from, right? And the second problem is this. I don't want to give students the answer. If I give students a choice, for example, I could say, okay, a new business is setting up going to establish a new supermarket. Which of these locations would be best around the town? Here, 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 or here, okay? But I don't want to give them the answer. I want them to come up with a suggestion. So, and that's, you know, in nursing, and you want them to develop a solution and develop an argument, not for me to give them something and then they make the argument fit a particular choice that they're given. I want, maybe they have a better solution than I've got, right? So, and particularly in business, in many professional fields, by definition, there isn't often a right answer. Certainly, I've just graded a whole bunch of exams for UCL. I've given one exam, you know, 100%, 100%, 90% for questions, where the answer is different to my answer. Right? But it's a really good argument. And yeah, that could be right. That's great, you know, 100%, okay? So I want them to develop this. So the conventional approach down here with application is you're given exercises and everyone chooses an answer, holds up a card, and then I say, well, why did you choose E? Or why did you choose D? And we get this. But I don't do it that way because only one student at a time is talking, and I don't want to give them the solutions. I want them to develop solutions and to come through with arguments, right? So I use social media to remedy the deficiencies of what I see in team-based learning, okay? So as we go through here, expanding on this, this is the readiness assurance process. Okay, which you can see down here. It's all done in the same teams down here in different classes, okay? And that's essentially the structure. Now, how I'm using social media, I'll come through, is actually pretty well through down here and down here, but also in the course design, which I'll explain when we come onto it, okay? This is just a comparison. A team-based learning, it says specific choice tasks. I don't want specific choices. You know, as I said, I want to do it a little bit differently. Right? I don't give them a choice. I want them to develop. Maybe I want them to come up with options, to have decision criteria they establish, and then to develop and put forward a solution, not to choose amongst solutions I give them, right? So this is how we work. Traditional teaching, some of the gains from here, really just comparing and contrasting. You can see here, comparing, contrasting. So this is just a. So what I want to do is to, we'll have a break now, and I'm sorry we lost time early on getting everything set up. What I want you to do is to, we'll come back at, come back at 10:35. Come back at 10:35. We're finishing late, so we'll come back at 10:35. Everybody have a 15-minute break. Right? When you come back, I want you to individually, just go on here. Okay. Yeah. I want you to take this readiness assurance test here. 11 questions, right? Ignore the 41, 38 questions, right? There's 1 to 11 down here, right? And then, individually, just put in here a little cross on what you think the right answer is, right? Now you can come back at any time in 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 15 minutes, and so we restart at, say, 25-2, 22, but I want everybody to individually, reading through the reading, and particularly on here, page 3 of the course outline, which talks about the one example of grading grade weights. What's the weight of the grade in the course? I just want you to answer these 11 questions. Make a choice, A, B, C, D, and put a cross in each box on that piece of paper. Okay? So when you come back, so this is the syllabus, example, it's an old syllabus, but just page 3 of this particularly is interesting. A lot of it's about content, but page 3 is more about the structure of the grading. Right? This is about just a good reading on team-based learning, and really then just answer the 11 questions. Right? Now, in a classroom, this is blind. People don't have this to look at, okay? But you can cheat a bit if you want to, all right? But just answer 11 questions individually, and then we'll go through. We'll do a team. What we'll do is when we come after that, we'll do a team retake of the test. I'll put you in teams, okay? To see how we do compared in teams for the same test, okay? So let's do that. Yeah, question. Sorry?
For this question, the reading material is page number 3?
Yeah, this is right. So you can, yes, this is, I mean, I've gone through some of it, but this is the reading, and this is a course outline. But I think particularly on page 3, look at that, right?
But we are supposed to read this
yes.
This material, then we can answer.
Yes, you should have had this already before. This is. Did you get this before class? Before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it doesn't matter too much for this workshop, but just try to come up with some answers to the 11 questions. And some of it's kind of a bit logical, and then we'll redo it as a team. And then we'll go through the answers and we'll compare your individual score to the team score in the next little session, okay? Any questions? I'm sorry we're late starting, but it's okay now, so that's fine, all right? So 15-minute break. If you want to stay, come back, it's fine. But when we come back, there's time to work individually on the 11 questions, okay? Okay, how are you doing with the individual tests? Is everybody finished? Some have finished. Okay. Don't spend too much time on it. It's not an exam, a real exam. Everyone okay to move on? Okay. So now, if you go back to the structure that I had before, the organization, you've really taken an individual test. And normally I would now take in those test papers. And you can get computers, readers, that will give you the immediate outcome on a computer screen of how everybody's done the test. No, that's fine. Okay. So normally I would take in the individual tests, and now I would say, okay, now retake the test in teams. The reason I take in the individual tests is because I don't want people to change their answers. Okay? So I take in the individual tests, and now I would normally give out a scratch card, so like Team A, Team B, Team C, and each team would retake the test, and then they'd hand in the scratch cards. But what I want to do now is, I'm not going to mark the individual tests. You can keep them, I trust you, it's fine. But I want to divide you up into sort of teams of 6. Team sizes should always be between 5 and 7. Always between 5 and 7. This has been shown through research to be sort of the optimum team size. So what I'm going to do is to divide you up into teams. Now, I'll talk about how to design the teams in a minute. The key point is never use student-selected teams. If I have a diverse group and I use student-selected teams, what will happen is all of the Chinese students will be a team. All of the people who've studied in the UK before will be a team. So all the people who play football together will be a team. All the Indian students will certainly be a team. And that's not what I want, or the opposite of that. So what I normally do is I would have a set of criteria that I would establish to put people in teams. And what I do is I will choose a first criterion. And for example, it might be, if I'm teaching strategy, it will be something like, everybody who has studied strategy before coming here, stand in a line. And then I will say something like, everybody who has studied economics, microeconomics, macroeconomics, now stand in a line. Then I will say something like, everybody who has worked in industry before coming to university, who's got business experience, stand in a line. I will then say everybody who is left who has English as their mother tongue, first language, stand in a line. I will say everybody who has Mandarin as a first language, stand over there. Then I may say, okay, of the people who are left, out of the 150 or so, all the women and then all the men. So in other words, what I have is a line going around the classroom, sometimes in the corridor, really it's long. Okay. And then sometimes I tease them and say, okay, now we'll jump in the air like that, right? And some of them do, I don't mean that. But what I have is clusters of homogeneous students in groups, right? They're all the same, they're all the same, they're all the same, they're all the same, and I've gone around like that. And then what I'll do is, I'll know that I want a team between 5 and 7. I'll know I've got 140, 150 students. So I'll know maybe, for example, if I have 5 students a team, 150, I want 30 teams. Right? So what I then do is I count this way. I've got to have 30 team names. So I can A to Z, which is 26, I want 4 more. Right? So what I'll do is I go around the students and I say to the student, you remember your team. I'll go Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike, November, Oscar, Papa, Quebec, Romeo, Sierra, Tango, Uniform, Victor, Whiskey, Zulu, Alpha 1, Beta 1, Charlie 1, Delta 1. Then I start again, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, okay? So in other words, I'm going around like that. And by the time I've finished, for example, in a team, this person, this person, this person, this person are in one team. So you've got one Mandarin speaker, one person who studied strategy before, one native English speaker, maybe a person who studied statistics or mathematics, who's got an ace in mathematics, who's really good at mathematics. You can, in other words, you can come up with your own criteria. Key is, what is the criterion that would make a difference to student performance in what you're studying, right? Clearly, for example, studying nursing, someone who's done a lot of chemistry or something before would be one, for example. But what I end up with is a set of diverse teams, very diverse teams. So let's try and do that here. But here, I'm going to do it more simply, because I don't want to spend time with people moving chairs and sitting. So what happens then is people will then re-sit. I've got the classroom redesigned. I know that the 5 Team Alpha will sit there. I put up a map of the classroom. I say all change seats, and you sit in that way, and For the rest of the semester, you are sitting Group A, you have got those 5 seats, Group B, you've got those 5 seats, and they sit in teams. I'll show you a little bit now, okay? So for this group here, I will simply put you in a team. I had one group yesterday where there were 2 women chatting all the time, and I split them up. Great, I split them up, okay. And they, okay. So I said that was easy. I watched for that, you see. If there's people talking all the time, I split them up, right? So what I'll do here is we've got 18 of you, and I'll just make a group of, for convenience only. This is not how, just convenience. I'll just put you in 3 groups for convenience. This is not how we do it. I'll show you how we do it, right? But just for time, okay? So let's, maybe if we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you 6 can face together here. I want you to retake the test as a team. Don't change your original answers, but just take one of the pieces of paper and just mark down what your team agreed answer is, okay? I think at the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you 6 could cluster together and discuss the questions, the 11 questions, and reach an agreement amongst yourselves on what you feel is the right answer to each question. And don't change your individual scores. And down here again, if you could put together the same thing, please. Over here, I think that if you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, could you come down, George? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can sort of get together. You could just sit at the back or sit around here, away from the camera. Maybe sit at the back and just, again, same thing. Don't change your original scores, keep them, but reach an agreement on what you think the agreed, what you conclude is the answer to each question as a team answer. Okay? I think down here we can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you 6 can just maybe come around here. Here, then I think 2, 4, 6, 2, if you can make a team, and maybe you could join a team over there and join a team down here. So we've got, I think, 7 here. So that's fine. We can, between 5 and 7 is fine. All right? So, so go through each question and reach a consensus on what you think the answer for each question should be. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is anyone not in a team? Everyone's okay? 2, 4, 6, 7. Actually, you could join 1, 2, 4, 6. Maybe you could join this team. Is that okay? Yes. Mustn't have more than 7. You can make a little bit of room here. So there's a chair here. Use this one. That's better. Yeah, no, this one. This is. There we go. Thank you. So just go through each question and reach a conclusion on what you think the answer is to each question.
Where do we mark the team answers?
Sorry? Yes, just take one of the, okay, so why don't I give each team one of these? There's a team, you can do a separate one, okay? Team answer for team answers. This is for your team answers. Okay, or you,